Hey, it's Gary at A3 Auto and Restoration this morning. I want to talk about doing dust nibs. It's a very common problem in the paint. We're doing black, and we want it to be really vibrant black. We painted these yesterday, and we're trimming them out for this K Blazer. We're doing the trim out on them. But inside the door jambs and all, most people, it's not that critical. I mean, unless it's a show car, they don't want, most people don't go and do inside of the car and door jambs. But we're trying to give this customer a really, really nice quality paint job in black. Plus, it's black and it's not forgiving. So these are new panels, which cuts down on the body work considerably. So we paint this with the base coat, and then when we clear it, really doesn't matter where you paint it. If you're a painter, you understand that if you're in a booth, wherever, you still get dust nibs, you get some kind of trash at some point. We do have a booth, we do spray in a booth. Unfortunately, these right here, just underneath, we're not boothing these because of the room in the area that we have. These things are pretty flat. There is like rivet areas where they was assembled. Of course, you can't really do nothing about that. These are inside. There's a panel that goes over this. But for the most part, like these edges and stuff, you're gonna see it when you open the door. And we wanna make it look as nice as possible. So there is a couple tricks to doing this. There is multiple different ways of doing it. Everybody that does it will tell you a different way to do it. This is what I have learned from experience. I have done it multiple ways. So this may help you if you're in your garage at home. This is what it's geared towards. It's not geared to the professional level of show quality paint job, out here in the world like we do on a lot of builds. But this is geared towards the guy that is scared to cut dust nibs out, or I've sprayed it in my garage, or I sprayed it in an open floor and I got some trash in it and I really don't know how to get the trash out. I don't want to tear the paint up. A lot of options, and then they're like, okay, how do I fix this? And then somebody's watching a video on how to get the dust nibs out. So realistically, this is in very, very good condition. Although if you will watch the black, like right here, just the roughness of my hands, I can touch it and it'll scratch it. I mean, just that, you can see right here where the scratches are. And so if you touch this, any kind of paint, it'll do that. Black is the worst color to get these scratches. Right here, you can see the scratches. You can see right here, some places, let me find a place. You can, right here, that's not been touched, and you can see how nice it is. But all that said, this is how we do this. The easiest way that I have found is to take 600, to start with 600, and try to get a wet dry paper. Now, this here's a dry only, this is a wet dry. There's a difference in the papers. We're not gonna put water on it because we don't want water down in the cracks to get out with air, because we are going to re-clear these. So when we're doing a really thick mirrored paint job, we want to make sure that this depth on this paint is real good. So yesterday, starting up to this process, yesterday we come in, we painted it, cleared it. We put a lot of clear on it. Of course, this is in the inside area and the door jambs and all. We put a lot of clear on this material. So then we're able to cut some material off because we knew it was gonna have dust nibs. So then we were able to start with 600. You normally can start with 600 on the outside of the vehicle. It's not gonna hurt you. The worst case with base clear, this is why I like base clear, is if you burn through the clear, you just scratch the panel, re-clear it. It's gonna be fine. So we start with 600 after it dries, and then what we do is I'm doing all the flat surfaces. I'm not gonna do these areas in here. Nobody's gonna see in here where the door hinges are. Plus, it is so pretty in here. There's no trash hardly on this surface. Trash only collects here. As the air goes up around it, even in a booth, if it doesn't get it out fast enough, as the dust goes up off of it, the dust particles from the clear, it dries, atomizes, and lands right back on your material. It looks worse than what it is. If you're not here to fill it, but if you was to fill this, you could barely fill it, but you can see it in black. If this was white, we would hit it, still do the same thing, but you're not gonna see that. You'd probably miss some in white. But in black, it's unforgiving. There's no way around trying to get the dust nibs out. So the best way I found to do this is start with 600, don't waste your time. If you're gonna sit here with 1,000, 1,200, whatever, you're gonna be cutting forever. So take some 600, brand new pad, and start on your flat surfaces, and you're just gonna work it like this. You're gonna work this right here, and you start seeing them come up. You can start seeing all the dust nibs come up. And I know that looks like a lot of dust nibs, and that looks a lot of trash, okay? But that, to a non-trained eye, they would never see it. All right, so I take 600 and I hit it quick, and it looks scratched to death. It's not hurt, all right? And you can see how that paper's rolling. I will tell you that there is some videos out there. People use a DA sander. Now, I will tell you, a DA sander is good. Gotta fix that. A DA sander is good on some flat panels, but I will tell you that a DA sander will make what they call pigtails. This stuff right here rolls up just like it's doing here, this trash, and it'll spin it like this, and it'll make them curlicues in there. And once you get them in that paint or that clear, you have to cut it down below that curlicue. And if you do that, you're probably gonna burn through. So you wanna find all your spots and just keep the panel clean with 600. And then once you get it like this right here, take you some 800, okay? Hit the spots, and get them out. And then just block your area, your whole area. Because what you want to do now is kind of make it smooth. You want to make it slick, okay? And hold on one second, I'm gonna get a rag. So what you're wanting to look for when it's done is you want it to be just like this right here. With no trash. You see that's perfect. Now, if you want to go on up to, 1,000, it's fine. I don't, because we go right back over it and put clear on it. We re-clear these panels. So it's the easiest way to fix it. Now, this being a rivet here, it is higher. And so when I sanded that, it burnt the edge right there. No big deal. We can take and touch that up right before we clear it. You can just dust some paint right there, re-clear this panel, and you'll never know what was happening. So if you're unsure, you can always back up and start over as long as your material is always dry. The only process in this, you have to wait in between panels if your material is not dry. And so that's a day. Most people say they can do it in a few hours. They add, stuff to they add kicker and stuff to the clear. Still takes a day, because if you do that, the clear, it's set on the top for touch, but it's not set on underneath. And so when you start sanding on it, you'll take that top layer that's kind of glazed over, roll it up. It's still wet underneath. It hasn't the chemicals hasn't come out of the paint yet, and it will do that. Now people will say, oh, the kicker works great and all that, and it does. It's not the best. I mean, if you're trying to get a car done, a lot of guys do that now on collisions. And that's how they get them out. Plus they bake them. They put them in a bake booth. But they're made to do fast-paced stuff. This is time consuming. So don't expect to do this. You will probably do a door. It'll probably take you, if you want to do every spot of the door, it'll probably take you a few hours to do the door. You get the panel looking like this, and like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly like there. You got little nibs right here that you can see. So if I don't want to burn it and I don't want to get down further than that, I could leave that, and when I clear it, the clear will go around that and make a smooth surface. So basically what you're looking at is clear, you want a flat surface. Clear is, as it runs, clear kind of does up and down, up and down, up and down over things. So when you cut that level off, now you're completely straight again. And when you clear it this time, it gives that depth. So it'll bring all this white back. It looks like we've tore the clear off of it, but you're really into the top layer, just leveling it off. So these guys that's doing it at their house, it's not very hard to do, and there's bunches of videos on it. Eastwood makes a video that's really good. I would probably try to, and here's another how I learned, and I'd probably try to stick to this. Honestly, if you are doing this at home and you're trying to achieve the best paint job possible, I would probably watch somebody like Eastwood, somebody like, us, I say us, somebody that is a professional, does this every day, because the guys that do it a one-time deal, they stumble upon a way to do it, and they teach a way to do it, but that don't mean you can do it that way. We do this every day. I'm gonna tell you, there's countless hours that I have burnt paint. I have tore paint up, I've had to repaint panels, and I've had to just completely start over. Because, hey man, I thought I could get this dust nib out and it'll look perfect, and it'll be just small like this, and then you're like, well, I can get that out. Well, I'll start getting it out and it'll start rolling. And then it escalates and escalates and escalates, and then you got a section this big. And then you spent so much time trying to get it blended and fixed, you're like, man, just sand the thing and spray the whole door. I've had cars where I've had to sandblast them because the paint was on them, and just start over. The easiest way to do it is just sandblast the entire panel and then just start from scratch. If you want a really good paint job, sometimes that's just the way you have to do it, and there's a lot of time goes involved. A lot of people don't understand that, and they think, well, it looks great because you've done this video down in an hour. It takes an hour, hour and a half to do one door. Then you got the video's 10 minutes long. Well, people think, hey, they can do that in 10 minutes. Anybody that knows anything about this knows you cannot sand this in 10 minutes and be done. You want to make sure that you get all these pieces out, all these dust nibs out, but you still, it's okay if you miss one, because again, this is inside the door. Most people are not going to be down at the door jamb, up under the door rocker where the water seal muds are, and try to look for dust nibs. Now, I will tell you that if we do one, and it is a very high-end build, we do every inch of it, no matter if they look at it or not. But again, that is a very, very extensive build. I'm trying to demonstrate that you can take a really nice new panel, sand and paint it, get it prepped, paint this panel, do the dust nibs here, re-clear it, and minimize your buffing time. Now, I know that you can take the 600 and start, 800 and start, and then 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, 2,000, 25, 3,000, 5,000, and you can buff all this and make it mirror image. Two problems with the inside of this. One problem is compound. Compound gets in everything, and if you've ever compounded a car, you'll know that in the ribs, up in the back of the doors, everywhere, you're going to have compound at some point. So then you've got to wash the panel, which is fine. But it doesn't matter how many times we've done it. We've cleaned them, we've washed them, we've, paint and grease remover, or trash and grease remover, we've used all that. Still cannot get it out of all the cracks. So when we build a car that's really custom, we do everything separate. We do not paint it as a unit. Most people will paint a car, just paint a car, and it's a nice car. An average, nice show car that goes to a club, that goes to a car show or something, or is in a car club, they'll paint their car in an average of a couple months, and everybody oohs and ahs over it. And it is a nice paint job, and it's a nice build. But when you're doing a high-end car for somebody like this one, they want it to be the best it can be. The only way to get it the best it can be is you have to cut the dust nibs out of it. Again, this is a way to show you to help you see how good this looks. Now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna finish this panel here, up to here, and I'm gonna do both sides here and up around the door area. And then we're going to Scotch-Brite it. And that's the second thing we're gonna do. The Scotch-Brite, you wanna use a mild Scotch-Brite that's equivalent to about I think it's equivalent to about 1,000 grit sandpaper. And again, you're only going to cut these panels that you see. Stuff up in here where the doors, cards are and all that, I mean, it's not that critical. This stuff looks pretty good, and when I re-clear it, if there's any dust nibs in here, and that's what really gets me too. On the panels, on the pieces that we really don't need to sand, they don't ever have trash in them. It's only the pieces that that you're going to see that normally has it, and that will aggravate you, especially if you do paint jobs more and more and more. It's just like there's hardly nothing in here. There's hardly no trash in here at all, but this is the part that don't get seen. But then this part that does get seen, it looked like all the trash radiated to that spot. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is in paint. So we're gonna finish this up here, and then we're gonna bring you back. It's gonna take me a few minutes. I'll get this right here ready, and then I'll bring you back, and we'll do part 2 of the thing, and I'll show you how to put the Scotch-Brite it, and then we'll re-clear it, and we'll show you how that's done. All right, so we've already went over getting rid of the dust nibs. If you look at the panel now, the dust nibs are gone, pretty slick everywhere. I mean, it looks really good. It just took about an hour to do this. Did fix our spot. Make sure that we got that done. That's a critical thing. So then after we're done here, what we want to do is take this Scotch-Brite, and they make a couple different ones, and I like to use the little thin ones because you can use multiple sides of it. But not only that, it's easy to hold. The big thick ones I think are too rough. They put too much material in them. That's just personal preference. Every paint and body guy has a different opinion. Everybody does things differently. As long as the outcome's the same, it shouldn't matter. We're just trying to, like I said, we're just trying to show you. You can buy these at any parts store. You buy like 25 of them, they're like 10 bucks. Works fine. So all these panels in here, you can't just spray back over this. So you have to scratch it back up at some point. So this is like 800. The good thing about this is, this you can do in here and get around these edges without burning them, because this will conform to your hand like that. So you're not burning your edges. So if you're using sandpaper, if you're hitting high and low because it's not forgiving, the thicker ones, they're kind of more, if you've used them, they're more stiff, so they don't conform to your hand. But these will conform to your hand or whatever you want to, however the shape is, so you're not burning your areas. So you just take this right here, hit it, and you see how that looks. I mean, and it don't take forever. I mean, it looks really good. Just like you've sanded it everywhere, and it's rough enough to actually catch your clear, so your clear's not running off on the floor, and it gives it something to adhere to. So the indication that you're in pretty good shape is the panel is white. And it really, and of course, if it's a white panel, it's gonna be a little harder to tell, but you will see the scratches in it. You will see the dull fading of it. And so you just go ahead and go over the whole panel, not just counting what you did. You're gonna go over that too. But you go over this whole panel. Some of this I've already done to make the video a little shorter, so you kind of get an idea of what we got. Because we're gonna re-clear it, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like after we re-clear it and how good it looks from yesterday's paint to today. Now again, this is a video of doing this in your garage, trying to save money to build you that nice car. Because honestly, I started that way, doing stuff in my garage, in the yard, wherever else I could work. And honestly, guys, we can get with it. Most people Of course, we have a pretty good clientele, but most people, they want to try to experiment it themselves. And I get a lot of people that'll do that, and then they're like, oh, that looks easy, let me do it. And then they realize, hey, I might not be able to do that as easy as it looks. And then they bring it to us, or, you know, just for example, you know, they call me or talk to us and say, hey, how does this work? And I can say, I can tell you what I've done, and you can try to do it that way. And that's all I have, because every day we can learn something, and I learn daily. But honestly, the way I've learned all this is trial and error. If you ain't doing something, you ain't messing something up, you ain't learning, especially in the paint world. If you're trying to learn to do this as a profession, you got to mess some stuff up. I've wasted gallons of paint, I've wasted clear, I've spent hours doing it. You go to school, get all the book learning you want, but if you don't have hands-on in the shop, it's not gonna work for you. So we're just trying to get this thing scratched to where it looks pretty good here. That's another thing, these things try to roll out of your hand, but most people would say, like, he dropped it on the floor and there's trash in it. Yeah, well, it'll be okay. The only problem with that is when you water sand one, and that's another video for another day, a little tech tip there. When you water sand it and you're washing it, if you drop your rag, don't reuse the rag, because a soapy, wet rag will pick up trash, and when you wipe it off again, you will scratch the paint, and you will not know. You will scratch the primer, and when you go to paint it, you will see a scratch in it. So we're very, very clean when we do that, as far as water sanding one. Other than that, with this, if you was to get trash on it, and it was to scratch it like this, if that was a scratch, you can take and go the opposite direction, it'll cut it right back out, you're good to go. The longer you spend this way and this way on a panel, the better off it's gonna look, because you're getting more of the trash already out of it. Another thing is, clear is like a filler. Clear is an optical, it's like a magnet type, a magnifying agent that magnifies the paint underneath. And when you paint it, most people know, if you're watching this and you've got to this point, you know when you paint something, it's flat. And so after it's flat, when you spray the clear on it, that's when the magic happens. And sometimes it'll be a darker, you think, hey, I'm gonna paint this red, and you paint it red and you're like, man, that's ugly. Then you put the clear on it and it radiates that color. So it's changing the pigments and the colors to get you that vibrant look. With black, you know, there's just black. There is Raven black, there is different blacks. People will tell you all that, and that's fine. And you know, there is different manufacturers of black. But at the end of the day, unless you had two cars sitting side by side, all the black's gonna do the exact same. I mean, you're gonna be able to see all the imperfections, dark cherries, any candies, all that, you're gonna be able to see all the imperfections. White's more forgiving, black unfortunately is not. You just need to make sure that you get this thing sanded, you know, pretty good here, where there's no dust nibs or any kind of trash left. Because when you sand this, when you prime this again, or I mean, sorry, I'm losing my mind. When you clear this again, it's really going to look glossy. It's really going to be nice. Clear is a filler, if you will. These little small scratches, that clear will run in there and level out, and you will see the paint through that. The small scratches too will separate light. So if it's separating your light, it can change the way it looks and the shininess and how it does look when you after you clear it. So if you look at this panel now, it's pretty much all white. Looks good. Now, you want to take and wipe this thing off. I've already got this hood over here ready. So this panel is in good shape. So we'll wipe it down first, then we'll air dry it, blow it off with air, make sure there's no dirt anywhere inside the cracks. I will give you a little hint when you're painting or anything, and this is from painting, or just like re-clearing this, if you have trash down in here, inside there, and you don't get that out, blow it out with air starting down here, or these vents. When you clear that, it's gonna blow all this trash back in your paint. So all the dust nibs you just cut out, you're gonna create dust nibs right back in it. So this panel needs to be completely clean and straight. Let me grab some cleaner and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I got this right here in a regular bottle, and I'm gonna tell you a little secret about this. This is rubbing alcohol and Windex. So two things, the Windex and the alcohol both dry super fast. So you don't have to worry about the panel. And we use this for a lot of stuff. We use it for right before we do a car. Wax and grease remover is great. Wax and grease remover is expensive. The alcohol will cut grease. The Windex will cut solvent. So with wax and grease remover, you have, when you wipe it, it leaves a film. Then you have to go back again and wipe it again with a microfiber. So with this, you put it on, you wipe it off, and when it dries, it's done. Now, I will tell you this, here's a trick to see how good your panel is gonna look when you're spraying this. You spray this right here on there and kind of let it flow out, and you'll be able to see how glossy it's gonna look after you respray it. You know, minus that, but you can start seeing it, how good it's gonna look. The good thing about this is, this stuff dries super quick and it'll fade right off. So you don't have to wait on the panel to dry. By the time you get this wiped down and you get all the dust off of it and everything, and you go back, mix your clear and come back, this is completely dry. It's not like using water. Plus water won't cut grease. If there's any grease from me touching my hand, because hey man, I'll be like this while I'm sanding, or I'll be, and you see the fingerprints. All those fingerprints right there have grease in them. You spray this, it's not so bad and clear that it will fisheye. But I will tell you, you can get solvent pop from one level to the other. Solvent pop looks like fisheye, but it is where two solvents don't adhere together. You can also get, if you're doing your base and you do that, you can get fisheye from oils in your hands. If you know, and most people out here that's watching this video kind of already knows that. It's just a tidbit of that information. Just be careful when you're touching your panels. Nitro gloves will be good if you wear them. For what I'm doing, again, this ain't that critical. As far as the inside door jambs, we just want it super glossy when you open the doors. We want all the hidden spots when this truck's put together to look as good as the truck. That's why we're doing this. So, and also just doing a video on some dust nibbing because we had something to shoot a video for. So we'll get it nice and clean. Again, when we do the outside of the vehicle, we'll dust nib that too and re-clear it. We'll tape it off. We actually put it on a lift when we paint one, and that way we can paint to the rocker. We make sure we get all down on the floor. A lot of times, and I've done it, and I'll be the first to admit it, we paint a car, untape it, go back and look, the bottom of the rockers are dry. No clear on the bottom of the rockers. So then we have to sand it back, re-clear the bottom of the rockers. So I've just tried to come up with a way that's kind of better, where we're getting the whole panel, and you wouldn't believe that couple of feet up off the ground, how much easier it is to look underneath and make sure you get it, because when you're spraying clear, you got to be moving, and you don't want to be, you don't want to be here and then have to turn your gun, hit a spot here but miss a spot here, and then this part's not right. So same thing on this door. You want to make sure that you get paint on it so that when you clear it, it looks glossy. So after you get the panel wiped down, didn't mean to get off on a tangent, but as we get this panel laid down, everything's nice on it, I always take my rag and I'll stick my hand down here in the door and I just wipe this out here, just in case there's anything that could blow through. And you see the trash, it's actually coming out the door. That will blow up on that panel. And so all that work we just done is pointless if we don't do it right. All right, so once I do that, that's my last step. I don't use it now on this. This has been wiped off. I won't take this back and try to wipe this off. Although I will take and get me another rag. We have a abundance of microfibers. And I will try to clean these vents out. I'll just wipe these vents out real nice because there is some trash I see in them. And again, the whole purpose of this is to get rid of all the trash and show you that we can paint in an open area and make it, make it nice. So inside them vents, you don't want any trash whatsoever. So, all right, so now we're ready to re-clear this panel. So, want to make sure it's completely dry. And again, with this right here, you don't get streaking. You don't get with the wax and grease remover because it's taking that top off there, and once you wipe it, you don't get the streak. You get this nice, clean effect, and then this alcohol will evaporate out. The painter I have now, he's the one that told me about the alcohol. I never used alcohol. I've used everything else but alcohol. I've sprayed it with brake clean before. People say, oh, why are you doing that? Well, non-chlorinated brake clean will clean the panel. It'll get the grease off of it, but it won't hurt the paint. It's not made to hurt paint. I definitely wouldn't use paint thinners at all. But wax and grease remover is what they recommend you use. Wax and grease remover is very expensive. And if you're doing it at your house and you want to do something easy, quick, the best way to do it is rubbing alcohol for $1 at the dollar store. Bottle of Windex, doesn't have to be, can be Dollar General brand, whatever. Mix it together, makes a perfect formula to do both things in one wipe. Wax and grease remover, again, when you wipe it, it'll streak it, and then you have another agent to take that streak off. Both things in one bottle. Bottle's $2, less than $10, you're set up. So that's a good thing. Plus, you can use it for a lot of other stuff. You're doing the panel work, you're doing body work. After you get done blocking it, and you get the you do the etch coat on it, then you block it the last time, you can actually take this, wipe that panel off, and you can look at it and see. And it's also a good agent if you wet it, just like I showed you, and make it look glossy, you'll be able to see your panel in that also. So I'm gonna mix up some clear, we're gonna spray this door. All right, so we've got the panel cleaned, we got the panel prepped, we got the area cleaned up. All of them have been Scotch-Brited, all the panels have been Scotch-Brited. Didn't want to go through every panel with you, but you get the gist of how we did this one door. We went ahead and finished all the doors, finished the hood, all the flat surfaces under the hood, so it'd be a nice mirror finish. Everything here, we got all the trash off of it. What I like to do is take a blower nozzle and to make sure that your compressor don't have water in it. We have 4 or 5 filters over there. We have filters here. All our stuff's in brass hoses inside this building, brass and metal line, so we don't have any water. We also have a water separator, an electrical one outside. So just make sure that you don't have any water, because then you blow water on the panel and you got to kind of start over your prep process. But I like to blow this thing out. What I do is I go down in here, blow all this trash to the top of the door, vents, down the side. Bolt holes are very critical. Right in here, there's a bunch of trash that'll build up right in here from your sanding, fall down in here, and if you don't get it when you blow it right here, it'll blow trash out here, it'll blow trash back up here. That stuff can blow out like this. So everything you've done now, since this is the last coat that you're gonna put on it, you want to make it as clean as possible. Cleanliness is the best. The more clean you are, the better it's gonna turn out. More prep, more wiping, and if you think you haven't got it enough, wipe it some more. Everything's been blowed down. All the doors have been blowed down. Double check this door. All right, so everything's blowed down. We're good to go there. right, so we've got our clear mixed up. I am going to do a video on mixing clear, mixing paint. I haven't got around to it. We're really covered up, but I'm going to try to get around doing some videos on that. Different brands, different styles, and see what we have. And I'm also going to do a video on setting the gun up. Right now, I'm not going to do that. I've already got this thing set up. It's already spraying the way it needs to spray. I'm going to check it real quick. I'm going to throw my mask on, and I'm going to lay down glass. So that's kind of how it works. But I am going to do one on setting the gun up, fan spray, how to tear these guns down, these WR400s, how to tear them down, take them apart, clean them the proper way. And then you'll understand if you have this gun. And then we can go over the cheaper guns at Harbor Freight, because most people that do them at home will run down there and get one, and they are phenomenal guns to spray in your house, you know, just at one-time deal. I wouldn't reuse them forever and ever, but they are good, but that's a video for another day. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this clear on here, and we're going to see how this thing turns out. So that's what it's supposed to look like after you re-clear it. And then if you have a dust dip, you just repeat the process. But at this point, you will just hit the spots that you have, buff the inside of the panel, and you're complete. So this will eliminate a lot of the initial trash. The first coat we did was to put material on the panel. Second time we're doing it now is the final finish. So to put you want to put it down the first time, I usually go back and put 2 nice thick coats. Originally, if you get a run or something, you can always cut it out. It's just about running the gun. I've run the gun a good bit. I'm not going to claim myself a professional. I'm still learning, but I'm trying to bring this to you as I learn things. I'm going to try to do videos and show you how to do it. And like I said, this is how we do it. It's not necessarily the textbook procedure. I don't know what that is, but this is an easy way to do it. Always remember, put on what you don't need, cut off what you don't need. If you put on more than enough, then you always have material to work with. If you don't put on enough material, you don't have anything to work with at the end of the day. So you'll be redoing your paint job more and more. So just use as the clear as a protectant of the paint, and then you can cut the clear off, add more clear as needed. But this job will turn out really nice. When we get done, we will do all the door jambs. We'll nib all the door jambs the same exact way. inside the cab exactly the same way, and then we will put the truck together. We will backmask everything, and we will paint the outside of that truck. We will probably do 3 steps of clear, just like we did. The first one, we'll put it on real thick. We will water sand it down, nib it out, just like we did. Then we'll re-clear it again. We will look at it again, and if we have places where there is trash, and each time we get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner with our paint. And at the end of the day, then we have multiple 4 and 5 and 6 layers of clear in between each panel, or in between each clear layer, and then you get the depth that you're looking for. So that is how this happens. Now inside the doors, again, we're not gonna do 5, 6, 7 layers of clear. We nibbed it the first time, we put a nice layer of clear on it. It's gonna be fine. When it flows out, we're perfect. I'm gonna do this other door, I'm gonna do this hood, and then everything should be lined up. Everything should be the same way. It'll all look the same, with no dust nibs, no trash. Let them dry, and then we'll store them until we get ready to put them on the vehicle. Like and subscribe our videos. Click the link down below, and we'll be shooting some more video. This is a good tech tip for anybody that needs anything for the house. This is geared for the individual that wants to try something on their own. Again, it's A3 Auto and Restoration. Y'all have a great day.